Hello guys, today's video is a very explosive one. After the Synthecepts throwing hammer nerf, Solar Titans are looking for alternatives. And here's one, Severance Enclosure, the recently buffed exotic. Now, what it does is, when you melee an enemy and they are melee charged or you're finished, explosion will occur. And that explosion will do a ton of damage to enemies nearby. And because of the buff, now the damage and range is bigger. It's tied to the rank of the enemy, but you don't need to think about that. It's just a bigger and more damaging explosion. And because of that, it's one of my favorite exotics for Titan right now. It can clear rooms of enemies really fast, and if you enjoy raids but normally you don't do the mechanics, you clearing ads, well, this is the build for you, and your team will thank you. I tried to build it in a way that you have a lot of crowd control, well, mainly because of the exotic, and a lot of survivability, simply because if you're dead, you can kill anyone. Like, just look at this, just look at the footage. I'm playing solo, it's the new dungeon, and these type of trash mobs, they just go away, they don't exist if you're using the exotic. It's really good for crowd control, and you also have survivability because you can have restoration at all times. So even though restoration ×1 was nerfed a little bit, it's still good, it's still some type of healing. And the best part is, with Solar Titan, even though the exotic asks for a melee charge, you don't have to use your hammer all the times, because with Solar you have roaring flames, and when you have roaring flames, you can normal melee the ads, and it will count because it's a solar melee buff, so the game will count it as a charged melee, which makes this so easy, because you know, hammer, it's what it is. Sometimes you throw it away, it just flies to Narnia. So yeah, and because of roaring flames, you don't have to worry about that. Sometimes I even throw it away, just I don't really like it. And now it's really clunky because you have to wait 1 second, 1.4 seconds, whatever. So yeah, amazing build. I'll show you how I built it. The super is up to you guys. I went with Towering Barricade and Strafe Lift just because I enjoy that jump. Throwing Hammer, I would suggest throwing Hammer so it's easy to get that first kill to proc Roaring Flames, and you can kill them from afar with throwing Hammer. And Healing Grenade. Again, you don't need Healing Grenade because you have sunspots that heal you, but Healing Grenade is just one button click that you press and that's it, you get healing. So ease of use. For the aspects, Sol Invictus, so you can get some sunspots, and Roaring Flames. This one is a must. Final blows with solar abilities or ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities, and it stacks 3 times, guys. So your melee will do more damage and it will count as a charged melee even if you don't have the throwing hammer. That's what makes this build so good. For the fragments, guys, I went with Ember of Empyrean. So when you have that restoration, when you have that radiant, you can extend that duration. So, and for that you have to kill with the solar weapon or with the solar ability, which you will be doing a lot of times. Ember of Torches, so your powered melee attacks will give you and your allies radiant. So with radiant, your team and you will do more damage. So also a good option. And the third one is Ember of Searing. When you defeat scorched targets, it will grant you melee energy, and it will create a fire sprite. And for the final one, I went with Ember of Mercy because it gives me 10 resilience, and when I pick that fire sprite that I created because of Ember of Searing, it will give me restoration. Now, there's a con to this, okay? There's a bad thing about this. If you have restoration, if you have restoration in 12 seconds, and if you pick a fire sprite, it will put your restoration at 5 seconds. So you lose time. And you ask, so why do you use this? Well, sometimes you don't have your abilities, you don't have your grenade, you need restoration straight away. And if you see a fire sprite, you know, well, I can start my restoration because of that. So there's pros and there's cons. I still went with Ember of Mercy. Now, for the mods, guys, what I did was I went with hands-on my helmet, so when I get that melee kill, I get more super energy back, and I also went with heavy ammo finder, so I can get more heavy for damage phases. On my gloves, I went with 2 impact inductions, so it will give me grenade ability energy when I do a powered melee, which we will always be doing. It has a 7-second cooldown between activations, but still it's a great option to get some grenade back, especially our healing grenade. And I went with heavy-handed, even though now it has a 10-second cooldown between activations. When we kill an enemy with powered melee kills, it will spawn an orb of power, and that's how we'll be generating orbs. Our chest is always the same for every build I do. It's always defensive mods. So in this case, I just go with 1 arc resistance, 1 solar, and 1 void. And then depending on the activity, I can double stack 1 damage type if needed. And for legs, I went with recuperation, innervation, and absolution. Now, this is a more generally open play build. If you're doing something specific like a dungeon where you have to kill a boss, or a raid where you have to damage a boss, you can swap this on the legs for your surges. So if you're using a solar rocket launcher, you should use solar weapon surges so you can do more damage. And on your class item, I went with bomber, so when I use my barricade, it will give me grenade energy back. So again, trying to have my healing grenade all the time. I went with proximity ward. I love proximity ward, especially in this build, because when you finish enemies, they also explode. So when you're finishing an enemy, you get a powerful overshield, so you won't die during the finisher. It's really good. And I went with Reaper. Well, Reaper was nerfed a little bit, so now it has a 10-second. It's not a cooldown. When you use Reaper, when you use your class ability, you have 10 seconds to kill an enemy with your weapons to generate the orb. I still went with this, but again, if you're doing damage, if you have a boss that you need to do damage and you're using surges on your legs, you should go, instead of Reaper, with time dilation. So these are the 2 variants of the build. If you're doing, open play, not really focusing on big damage numbers on a boss, and if you're focusing more in a boss. And this is the build, guys. This is an amazing build to clear ads, to crowd control. It will give you amazing survivability, amazing crowd control, and you still have the ability to empower your enemies with Radiant and heal them if needed with your healing grenade. That's it. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll try to bring other builds in the future. A clanmate of mine keep telling me don't sleep on precious scars, so maybe I'll try that one next. And well, this is it, guys. Again, thanks for the support. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like. It makes my day when someone says something nice. So please say something nice in the comments. See you in the next one.